Why are we leaving this to corporations? Why are we leaving this to the people who are corporate dictators? Why are we leaving this to the real estate giants, the landowners, to say, oh, well, this is who we want? Shouldn't it be democratized? Instead of them pouring money into different ballot measures or different candidates, shouldn't it be just public funding and then we just choose which one we want? But if we got that, then, well, we were the ones who chose a $15 an hour minimum wage, and the wage actually increases according to the cost of inflation. We chose that. We also chose to give former felons the right to vote back. We chose that. Who put a paywall there? The Florida legislature did that. So now it makes it harder for them to get their right to vote back. Who approved medical marijuana? We did. And we were this close to getting recreational marijuana, and we were this close to getting the abortion ban put back to 24 weeks. So Ron DeSantis, Little Ronnie, governor of Florida, unfortunately my governor, has decided to go to war with direct democracy, go to war against his own party. I really want to get into this, and this just shows that Ron DeSantis ultimately is anti-democratic. And so I want to go to that. So let me get to that here. All right. So this is out of the Palm Beach Post. It says GOP-led legislator refuses DeSantis bid to hinder citizen-led ballot initiatives. So it says a plan by Governor Ron DeSantis, which critics warn could effectively eliminate citizen-backed ballot proposals in Florida, was among the issues shelved by the legislature's Republican leaders who defied him in this week's special session. DeSantis wanted lawmakers to outlaw third-party signature gathering for ballot initiatives, a tactic virtually all campaigns rely on when seeking to collect the almost 900,000 signatures from voters needed to qualify. House Speaker Daniel Perez from Miami told House members on Monday that any changes to such initiatives can wait until the regular 2-month legislative session begins in March. He also cautioned that it was important to proceed cautiously with revamping a system that gives voters a voice. Ballot measures have yielded voter-approved medical marijuana, minimum wage, and felons' voting rights in recent years. Perez acknowledged that the process has been infected by big money and special interests. He added, I believe ballot issues need reform, but I do not believe that we as elected officials should slip into a special session to try to ram through changes that affect the rights of the very voters who sent us here to Tallahassee. DeSantis steered millions of taxpayer dollars toward fighting last fall's Amendment 4 abortion rights measure and Amendment 3, which could have legalized recreational marijuana. Both proposals fell just short of winning 60% approval from voters needed to be added to the state constitution. So, the governor relies on election crimes report. Says DeSantis' call for crackdown relies on an investigation last year by the state's Office of Election Crimes and Security, which cited examples of alleged fraud by organizations hired to gather signatures for the abortion rights proposal. The Election Crimes Office investigation concluded that 16.4 of the Amendment 4 petition signatures gathered across Florida may have been invalid, based on what even those conducting the probe conceded relied on a small sample size. under DeSantis proposed legislation. The only way citizens initiative could gather signatures is by individual voters signing petitions at a county elections office or submitting their signed petition by mail, as voting can be done now. Brett Ashwell, voting director of All Voting is Local, a national organization that advances pro-voter policies, said that eliminating third-party signature gathering would be daunting for most ballot campaigns. Also, he warned DeSantis' proposed change would be a huge load on election supervisors. So it says, but change still may be coming. Republican leaders and the legislature have long characterized most ballot proposals as an end run to their authority. And even with this week's pause, some supporters said that the changes may be coming. The Citizens Initiative proposal was among several issues DeSantis put in play this week. During a special session, he called to position the state to respond to President Trump's mass deportation plans. The governor wanted condominium law changes and more funding for hurricane housing to also be addressed. Now, only some form of immigration legislation looks likely to clear the floors. House Democratic leader Fentress Driscoll of Tampa said that while the governor was eager to add significant obstacles to ballot efforts, Perez seemed less willing. Quote, it was a really big deal for the governor, but it doesn't sound like it's such a big deal for legislative leadership. I don't know if they're going to take it in the direction the governor wants, which is to fear about the process, to say that the process is unsafe or there's all fraud. I don't know if we're going to see legislation addressing that. So he's basically trying to undermine direct democracy. And that is one of the biggest issues that we see with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis has time and time again showed himself to be someone who's against free speech. He is now showing himself to be against direct democracy, saying that, oh, big money's tied. Well, all right. If big money is tied, then take money out, then get money out of politics. Make it so that every single thing has to be publicly funded, period. So, for instance, if it's a direct ballot measure, then it has to be publicly funded. And for instance, I think Roger proposed this where, the signature gatherers are paid and is paid through public money in order for them to gather those signatures. And those signatures are all certified. And then the signatures can be gathered and, if there's enough, then they can get on the ballot. But the undermining of this, if you get money out of politics, but then that means that the corporations aren't going to be able to dictate who is the governor, who is a lieutenant governor, who is the secretary of state, who's the attorney general. They don't get to, I'm sorry, the not the secretary of state, but the state secretary. But they don't get to say, oh, this is who we want. No, it's the people. Why are we leaving this to corporations? Why are we leaving this to the people who are corporate dictators? Why are we leaving this to the real estate giants, the landowners, to say, oh, well, this is who we want? Shouldn't it be democratized? Instead of them pouring money into different ballot measures or different candidates, shouldn't it be just public funding? And then we just choose which one we want? But if we got that, then, well, we were the ones who chose a $15 an hour minimum wage, and the wage actually increases according to the cost of inflation. We chose that. We also chose to give former felons the right to vote back. We chose that. Who put a paywall there? The Florida legislature did that. So now it makes it harder for them to get their right to vote back. Who approved medical marijuana? We did. And we were this close to getting recreational marijuana, and we were this close to getting the abortion ban put back to 24 weeks. We were this close. And so that scares Ron DeSantis, because he is a lackey of the corporate dictators. He wants the corporations to run Florida, not the citizens. And so any threat to corporate power, which is things like the direct democracy, this is what somebody like Ron DeSantis doesn't want. And so I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're conservative or if you're a liberal. I don't care if you're libertarian, socialist. I don't care. You should care about your direct democracy being taken away, being stripped away from you by the legislator, by Ron DeSantis and the Republican Party. And while the Democrats just sit there twiddling their thumbs, no, that shouldn't be allowed. Because our direct democracy is what makes this state great. And I guarantee you, if you put more power in the hands of the voters, we will become a more equitable and egalitarian state. We just got to get the money out of politics. And that could be the next shoe to drop, is that we pass a ballot measure that takes money out of politics. And that's what they're afraid of, because the corporations will no longer have a lackey. There was a ballot measure that was on the table last November, where it would make it so that we no longer have public funding of elections for governor. Did you know that you could choose to have public funding for governor, for gubernatorial elections? Meaning that next year, in 2026, Florida has a gubernatorial election. And let's say somebody who's from a third party or independent wants to run, and they reach a certain level of petitions or signatures or what have you, however the rules are. They get public funding to run. If they're running for governor or lieutenant governor, or I think it's state attorney general, I think it is. Which means no corporate funding, no business funding, no real estate investors investing into a particular candidate that might be outside of the Democrat and Republican parties. Meaning that they not only get state funding, but they have enough money to be able to have name recognition, to get their face in front of people, which means that can be a threat to corporate power within the state of Florida. And guess what? We said, no, we're going to keep public funding for that. That actually did not pass. We said, no, we're keeping our public funding. Ron DeSantis was watching that. He made a bluster about Amendment 3 and 4, but I think it was Amendment 6, I think it was. But Amendment 6, that was the one he was like. So because we kept public funding, I tell you this. If you're thinking of running for office in Florida, for state office, like governor, lieutenant governor, I think it's attorney general. Look, if you do populist, worker-centered policies, things that are like a living wage and universal healthcare, like we can start like a Florida, of course, for a nationalized healthcare system, you would need, the money for, that system. You need a currency issuer, not a currency user. But for even just a single payer healthcare system, just for Floridians, if we can pass something like that, we live in a ballot initiative state. And so we could do that. We could have a strong candidate that's pro-worker, that's outside of the two-party system, that will show up both parties in this state. Our rents are becoming sky high. What if we could do a state ballot measure, a ballot initiative that actually places caps on rent? That gives us rent control, right? What if we can push for state public banks, which generate its own revenue in the markets and then uses that revenue for our infrastructure instead of it coming out of our pockets as taxpayers? What if we can put in an incentive for more worker cooperatives to operate within the state of Florida? Did you know that Florida has the second largest population of Black people? Out of all the states, the second largest population of Black people is in Florida. The first one is Texas. We could establish a whole lot of Black businesses that are worker cooperatives in this state. I'm just saying. But realize, Ron DeSantis is your enemy. He's an enemy of the workers. He has been an enemy of the workers. Don't let him tell you otherwise. And guess what? He'll stick to the social issues. He'll stick to the culture war just to get you riled up so you'll stick with him. When in reality, those social issues are not making it so that you have to pay exorbitant amounts of money for rent. Those social issues aren't affecting you when it comes to how much you get paid when it comes to a living wage. Those social issues aren't affecting you when it comes to your education and how much you have to pay for it. So let's put the blame squarely where it belongs. Ron DeSantis and his corporate overlords. And these are the same people that are trying to take the democracy out of our hands. Stay vigilant. Stay vigilant. And let Ron know that you can't take democracy out of our hands. Gotta take it out of our cold, dead hands. Thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further so I can keep bringing you content, that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.